I had one mission on this run: get this load to the customer. No excuses, no slip-ups, no maybe next time. This was the kind of deadline that decides whether you rise or get buried. And even though it was a long haul, I knew the road had something to teach me. It usually does if you're paying attention. So here we are, the final 4-hour stretch, broken down hour by hour so that you can roll right beside me from start to finish. If you're new here, welcome aboard. My name is Jay the Gallavantor. Been driving a big rig across every corner of this country for over a decade, and every mile has a story. Everything you're about to see, straight from my dash cam, raw and unfiltered. And for my returning viewers, you already know what it is. Thanks for coming back. You make these miles worth sharing. All right, let's dive in. This is hour 1. It's early afternoon now, and lunchtime traffic around here, heavier than usual today. If you've been with me for a while, you already know one thing about me.
I don't do packs.
Not behind them, not inside them, not anywhere near them. A pack is unpredictable. A pack is mistakes waiting to happen. And a pack will get you in trouble faster than anything else on the highway. So when this pack forms up ahead, I'm not joining the herd. I ease off the throttle, let the whole thing roll out ahead of me. Give myself space to breathe. You know, every time a pack forms like this, it makes me wonder about the kind of driver each of us really is. Some folks back off and let the mess clear. Others punch it and try to get ahead of everybody. Then others freeze in the middle lane and hope the crazy person doesn't find them. And then there are the lane hoppers, always searching for that perfect spot that somehow never appears. And the way a person handles that moment says a lot about who they are off the road, too. Patience, control, impulse, anxiety, all of it shows up in traffic. Me? I always choose space, patience, clarity, because out here, time is money, but accidents are bankruptcy. And speaking of time, that's a whole conversation we need to have. We're approaching exit 57 to Highway 114 into Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Mechanicsburg is one of those quiet towns with a story baked into its bones. It grew up along the old Cumberland Valley rail line. It's funny how many towns around here owe their existence to trains needing a place to breathe. Anyway, back to the road. I'm still letting that pack drift on ahead of me, keeping that gap wide enough to feel like I've got control over my little piece of the highway. And then, of course, it happens. Right in front of me, a truck shoots past, riding so close to a black sedan that if that car tapped the brakes, we'd be watching a disaster unfold in real time. I never understand drivers who get that close. I mean, I've seen what happens when 40 tons meets a sudden stop. And no matter who actually caused it, people always point at the professional driver. You carry the responsibility whether it was your fault or not. That's why space is not a luxury to me, it's survival. And it's funny, moments like that always get me thinking about people. Some folks don't just tailgate on the road, they tailgate in life, always right up behind the moment in front of them, never giving themselves room to react, breathe, or think. I've been that guy before, pushing too hard, too close, too fast. Life teaches you real quick that some distances exist for a reason. Now we're approaching exit 59 to Highway 581, 11, and I-83 south toward Camp Hill and into Maryland. This stretch takes you toward York, Pennsylvania. And right about here, like the highway wants to prove a point, a van and a semi come blasting down the left lane like they're auditioning for Fast and Furious Pennsylvania edition. Tailgating again. I swear some drivers act like physics is an optional suggestion.
The way they run up on each other. It's almost like they're daring the universe to test them.
And you know what's funny? Little things like this always make me think about how different people react to danger. Some folks tense up, some get mad, some laugh at the stupidity of it. Some just shrug because they've seen it too many times to care. Me? I watch everything because out here, awareness is oxygen. There's this clock in my head always ticking. Not the kind you hang on a wall, the kind you feel. Out here, time isn't something you check. Time is something that checks you. In trucking, time doesn't move in minutes. Time moves in money, in momentum, in opportunity. When you show up on time, everything falls into place. You get unloaded faster. You stay on schedule. You grab the next load, and the whole operation keeps rolling. But the moment you're late,
Man, that's when the road gets real cold.
you get pushed into work-in status. Basically, the waiting room is where nobody wants to sit. Every driver who shows up on time gets served first. You get whatever's left whenever they feel like it. And places like Walmart, oh, they don't play around. They might bump you back hours, days, or even a whole week. Sometimes they'll reject the load outright. Sometimes they unload it, then hit you with fees that make you rethink your entire life. So yeah, time out here? It's not a suggestion.
It's not a guideline.
It's a blade, and you want to make sure you're on the handle side, not the edge. But time is a conversation for a little later. Right now, coming up on exit 61 to Highway 944, Wittsville Road into Enola, Pennsylvania. Traffic finally opens up a bit. Room to breathe.
Feels like someone loosened the belt a notch.
Once everything settles, I ease back toward home base, that right lane. Not before it's safe, not before it's clear, but when it's right. Let me drop a little Enola info while we're here, because the story behind this place is wild in its simplicity. This whole town started because two farmers sold 2 acres of land to the Pennsylvania Railroad so they could put up a flag station. One of the farmers, Francis Miller, named the station after his daughter Enola. Just like that, a name on a railway sign became the name of an entire community. And later, Enola Rail Yard grew into one of the busiest classification yards in the country, all from that tiny spark of a decision. Small choices, big futures. Makes you think about how many towns' careers and lives start the same way, with one tiny moment that didn't feel important at the time. So let us know the name of the place you currently reside, and if there's a backstory to it, I welcome you to please share in the comments section. And now we're rolling toward exit 65 to Summerdale, leading into Enola and Marysville. And this is where all those thoughts about time start stitching themselves together. Think about this. Enola exists because a railroad needed a schedule. My career lives or dies by the schedule. Your life, whether you realize it or not, is structured by a schedule too. When I'm late, nobody cares about the story. Doesn't matter if it was traffic, construction, weather, or bad directions, or any other factor that would delay my arrival, I'm judged by one thing, my arrival time. That's it. That's the whole scorecard. Dock workers don't want the excuses. Dispatch doesn't want the context. The broker doesn't want the explanation. Time becomes the judge, the jury, the sentence. And honestly, I know I'm not the only one who's ever felt like that. Like, time isn't just a measurement, it's a pressure, a weight to bear. A scorekeeper that's waiting for you to mess up. It's strange how something that's supposed to be neutral ends up feeling like it's keeping score on your life. But we'll dig into that more later, because right now, Harrisburg is up ahead. Rolling up on the Harrisburg, PA area now. This stretch always feels like juggling a dozen little details at once. The on-ramp warriors are out here merging like they've got a pit crew waiting for them at the next exit. You've got to watch those folks. Some of them treat the on-ramp like a slingshot straight into traffic. While all that's happening, I'm still taking in the view from the bridge, one of the few perks of having an office that sits 13 feet high. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. The whole road becomes the front window of my workspace. Up ahead, we've got exit 66 to Front Street, exit 67 AB to Lewistown and downtown Harrisburg. If you have business in the downtown area, this seems like the exit to take. Anyway, back to the driving. It's a tight balancing act around here. You keep your eye on the mirrors, scan the lane lines, track the merging traffic, and still try to give the viewers a clean, steady view of what's happening. And moments like these always get me thinking, merging tells you a lot about people. How they enter the road is often how they enter life. Some drivers hold steady and let the world adjust around them. Some slide over early, making room before things get tight. Some people speed up to avoid getting tangled in someone else's chaos. And some people slow down because peace is more valuable than pride. Funny how the road reveals people like that. So what kind of person do you think you are? Let us know in the comments below. Left lane, bam, here comes a Hummer SUV blasting by like it's 2006 again. Takes me right back. I used to work with a guy who drove a bright yellow one. Every morning he rolled into the lot like he was starring in his own movie. Sunglasses, attitude, the whole package. And there I was, younger, broke, and dreaming about the day I'd have something flashy too. Envy is a strange thing. It sneaks up on you, and before you know it, you're measuring your worth by someone else's purchases. And in this world, that mindset will drain your wallet and your sanity. As I've gotten older, I've learned you can't win by chasing other people's finish lines. That lane never ends. Anyway, watch the roadway up ahead. This lane disappears sooner than you'd expect. So once the truck beside me clears, I slide over early. In Harrisburg, hesitation will get you boxed in fast. And I've got to say, I love these overpasses. They're not Dallas big or Houston wild, but there's something about driving under these concrete webs. It's like you're rolling through a giant sculpture built for motion. up on exit 69 to Progress Avenue, Harrisburg. This uphill stretch is notorious for one thing: slow trucks everywhere. It's like everyone collectively forgot they were hauling weight until gravity tapped them on the shoulder. So while they crawl, I just hold my lane and keep my space. There's no room here for hero moves or last-second lane changes. And this stretch always reminds me of something deeper. There are parts of the road that test your patience the way life does. Long uphill climbs, tight merges, those sudden lane drops.
Blind corners.
All of them force you to decide who you are when things get inconvenient. Some drivers panic, some get aggressive, some stay calm, and some just trust the road and roll with it. Driving teaches you who you've become over the years. So who are you after years have passed by? Now we hit exit 70 to Lancaster, PA, where I-83 splits south toward Baltimore. The right lane is packed tight, so I hold steady. No sudden moves, no weaving, no trying to outsmart traffic. Sometimes the most professional move you can make is to stay exactly where you are. And that brings me back to this bigger idea I've been wrestling with: time. Somewhere along the way, we took time, this neutral, steady thing, and turned it into a scoreboard. If you're early, you're reliable. If you're late, you're irresponsible. If you rest, you feel guilty.
If you push too hard, you burn out.
It's wild how much pressure we pile on ourselves because of minutes ticking on a clock. In trucking, the clock runs everything: when you sleep, when you drive, how long you can rest, and when you have to move again. But the truth is, people in every job feel this. Time becomes this invisible boss we're all trying to impress, and it never gives out Employee of the Month. Some days you feel judged by a clock you didn't set.
Some days you're rushed by people who don't understand.
Some days you feel guilty for slowing down. Some days, the hours just slip through your fingers too fast. We'll get deeper into this as the drive continues, because it's something that deserves space and honesty. For now, we keep rolling. Approaching exit 72 AB to Paxtonia/Lingelstown, PA. Still climbing this long, stubborn ascent? Cruise control doesn't mean much here. Your foot has to stay engaged. And just when you think you've seen it all, here comes the classic Pennsylvania special: the cross lanes exit gambit. You know the one. The driver in the far left lane realizes their exit is now right here. So what do? They cut across 3 lanes like Moses parting the traffic. And the craziest part? The exit lane is usually wide open, but some folks will risk their life just to avoid being behind a big rig for 30 seconds. Pair that with the legendary FOFT, fear of following trucks, and you've got yourself a daily traffic circus. Moments like this say more about people than any personality test ever could. Some slam the brakes and let the madness unfold. Some lean on the horn. Some mutter a few choice words under their breath. And some just laugh because they've seen it so many times it feels like a rerun. Out here, you learn to expect the unexpected, and you learn to leave yourself space so other people's chaos doesn't become your problem. Deeper into this stretch now, and one thing I notice how the traffic energy changes. It's like some folks get real bold out here, especially when there's an exit coming up. You'll see someone cruising comfortably in the far left lane, and then out of nowhere they remember their exit is half a mile away and decide to cut across 3 lanes like the world owes them space. I always wonder what goes through people's minds in moments like that. Either way, this area keeps you sharp. And speaking of things that pop up out of nowhere, here comes a U-Haul up ahead. Every time I see one, I'm reminded of one of the benefits of living in a first world country. If you want to move, you don't have to hire a company. You can just grab a truck, throw your life inside, and hit the road. That freedom is something most people never think about. And judging by the number of U-Hauls I see, a lot of folks make last-minute decisions. You can always tell who packed in a hurry, boxes sliding, mattresses strapped with the confidence of a toddler using tape, and someone's entire life bouncing around in the back. It always makes me wonder what moving stories y'all have. Whether you did it yourself, hired movers, or fought with a sofa halfway down a staircase. Whichever method you used, let us know in the comments. Approaching exit 77 to Highway 39, Monada Hill and Hershey, PA. This area is familiar turf for me. There are a couple of truck stops around here that I like, perfect spots to get a shower, grab a drink, or prepare mentally for the way station that usually lurks nearby. Thankfully, today it's quiet for now. Speaking of being quiet, have you ever noticed how heavy haulers always look empty when you see them? Don't be fooled. One good load sets those guys up for a while. Escort service, pilot cars, highway patrol, it all adds up. But the paychecks, even heavier than the freight. I always joke, when I grow up, I want to be them. Work smarter, not harder. Of course, to join that club, you need the endorsements, the experience, and the nerves. It's like leveling up in life. You don't just buy the gear, you earn it. Rest area and way station ahead. Another Pennsylvania classic. They don't like standalone way stations up here. They stick them right next to the rest areas. Looks like this one is closed today. Looks good to me. One less thing to worry about. Now we're coming up on exit 80 to Grantville and Hershey, PA, and you can feel the traffic tightening. This stretch always clogs around this time of day. And the slowdown reminds me of something I think about often. People say being on time is the gold standard.
But in trucking?
Being on time doesn't guarantee a thing. You can roll right into a customer's dock at the exact minute they ask for and still sit there for hours. It makes you question if time means the same thing to everyone. Some folks treat time like money, guard it, plan it, measure it. Others treat it like air, they just breathe through it without thinking. And then some people treat your time like it belongs to them. Watching this slow down, I can't help but think how many hours of our lives we spend waiting on someone else's schedule. Right up ahead on the right, a few RV campers are parked. And you know, whenever I see RVs, I get hit with a wave of nostalgia. Road trips? Country jams! That slow, breezy feeling like the world paused just long enough for you to enjoy it. It's funny how certain sights on the road pull you back into memories. Some of y'all probably traveled cross-country in an RV at some point. Others dreamed of it. Some packed the whole family, dog included, and survived on snacks and gas station bathrooms. Whatever your story is, those moments stick, like the kind that shape who you are long after the trip is over. If you would like to share these moments of nostalgia with us, please share in the comments below. Up ahead looks like something's happening on the shoulder. Traffic's tightening, so I try to move left, but nobody's giving room. See, this is exactly why I tell drivers, never box yourself in, always leave an out. Because when nobody wants to let you in, your only tools are patience and the brake pedal. And funny enough, that same thing applies to life. If you corner yourself into a situation with no options, you're stuck with whatever comes at you. But if you leave yourself a path, even a small one, you're in control. Coming up on exit 85, AB to Annville, Fort Indiantown Gap, PA. Traffic finally opens up a bit, giving me room to breathe. And the second it does, my mind goes back to that whole idea of time, how somewhere along the way, we got taught to treat time like a problem to solve instead of something to live in. I mean, think about it. Nobody's born rushing. Nobody comes into this world worried about deadlines, arrival windows, or appointment numbers. That stuff gets drilled into us. Praised when you're early, punished when you're late, repeat it long enough, and you start believing that your worth is tied to a clock. And here I am, cruising down this stretch, realizing how many of us carry that with us long after we clock out. Chasing minutes instead of moments. Trying to beat the clock even though the clock has never once cared whether we're ahead or behind. Sometimes I think time is neutral. It's people that turn it into a boss. Now we're approaching the split where I-81 branches off and straight ahead becomes I-78 toward Allentown and New York City. Since I've been cruising in the right lane, I've got to swing over into the left 2 lanes. It's one of those moments where timing and judgment matter, miss your window, and you're stuck riding a road you never planned on. Once I finally made the shift, it felt like a small win, another notch on the belt, another little victory in the marathon of moving freight. That's the rhythm of this job. Mile by mile, task by task, load by load, you chase success in whatever form it takes. For me, it's a happy receiver, a signed bill, a broker that pays on time, and enough room in the schedule to catch a breath. And tomorrow, we do it all over again. Right now, though, it's about soaking in the road and appreciating those tiny pockets of peace that trucking gives you if you're paying attention. Coming up on exit 90 to Highway 72 to Lebanon, PA. Traffic finally dies down, and the road smooths out ahead. The mountains in the distance look like they're guarding the horizon, layers of green stacked into the sky. Funny thing, I've been through here more times than I can count, and I don't think I've ever actually stopped at the truck stop around this exit. Guess my timing always had me stopping either before or way after it. Now the hills rolling through this region, they'll test your legs, test your patience, and test your engine if you're heavy. Drivers know exactly what I mean, that leg burn of holding the pedal steady, the strain in the knee, the slow grind up a grade that feels like it's laughing at you. Folks wonder why drivers walk with that signature shuffle. Years of climbing grades tell the story. We're heading deeper into the Appalachians now for one of the most peaceful, underrated stretches of the East. Quiet, beautiful. A reminder that nature doesn't rush for anybody. And here's something I love about this stretch. You see all kinds of drivers out here. Some light, some heavy, some empty, some just showing off horsepower for no reason other than youthful confidence and caffeine. These guys are blowing past me. Hey, good for them. Whether it's vanity, adrenaline, or just a light load, more power to them. Me? I run my own pace. Not because I'm slow, but because I've learned the wisdom of not running with crowds. In trucking, that'll put you in danger. In life, same story. Experience teaches you when to blend in, when to lead, and when to let the fools rush by. And trust me, I've been the fool in the past. Ran with packs, chased speed, matched stupidity for stupidity. Age has a way of sanding down those rough edges. If you've got stories from your wild days, the comment section is wide open. We can laugh about them together. For now, let's settle in for a quiet stretch of road ahead. Just the hum of the engine, the rumble of the tires, and the Appalachians keeping us company. These next few miles settle into that calm rhythm every driver secretly hopes for. No surprises, no brake lights, no lane drama, just clean pavement and the Appalachians stretching out like a natural guardrail. And honestly, that quiet is both a blessing and a trap. The road gets so peaceful out here that your mind starts wandering. You start thinking about bills, or memories, or dinner, or how you still haven't fixed that one squeak in the dash that only shows up at 58 miles per hour. Drivers will know exactly what I mean. The danger of a wandering mind. They teach you early, if you can't remember the last few miles, it's time for a break. But out here, with the forest hugging the interstate and the hills rolling under the wheels, it's easy to lose yourself in the scenery. We're coming up on exit 100 to Highway 443 to Pine Grove, PA. This stretch almost always makes me feel like the Lone Ranger of the highway. No big towns, no city flicker, just trees, sky, and whoever fate sends your way for a few miles. I love these moments, being the only rig visible in the mirror, no one pushing you from behind, no one cutting across your bumper like they're auditioning for a stunt show. Of course, the solitude doesn't last long. There's always someone who pops up out of nowhere, flies past you like you're parked, and disappears into the horizon. Just like that, gone. It's funny how driving a big rig teaches you the value of silence, but also how quickly silence can turn into distraction. That's why these stretches always come with a little caution baked in. The hills here will humble you quickly if you're not paying attention. Coming up to exit 104 to Highway 125 to Ravine, PA, looks like another driver is stranded on the shoulder. Happens a lot on these grades. They test both the truck and the driver. If either one blinks, the shoulder becomes your only friend. And check out that big electronic signboard up ahead. Tell me it doesn't look like it's dancing perfectly with the beat of the music in the cab.
Sometimes I think the road's got its own rhythm, and now and then, it syncs up with yours.
Funny enough, seeing that sign flashes locks me back into another lifetime. Back in my college days, I was DJing during that golden window of clubbing in the late 2000s and early 2010s, when we all thought we'd be young forever, running off vibes and no sleep. These days? Man, if you see me outside past 7:30 p.m., consider it a miracle. Life shifts on you, and suddenly the things that once kept you out all night become the same things that put you right to bed. But I'm curious though, what era were you in your prime? Everybody's got a golden phase, a chapter where they thought time was endless. Drop yours in the comments. I always enjoy reading those. Approaching exit 107 to Highway 209 to Tremont and Tower City, PA. This exit has a warning sign for trucks. The terrain around here demands respect. Even if you're not getting off, it pays to know what's unfolding around the bend. Up ahead, there's a slow pack of trucks grinding up the hill. Since I'm lighter today, my rig's got enough breath to swing left and slip past when the moment's right. But these grades turn lane decisions into strategy. You can't just think about the next 200 feet. You gotta think about the next 2 minutes. I scan ahead, scan the mirrors, watch the gaps. If I jump too early, I'll trap someone behind me. If I wait too long, I'll get boxed in behind a caravan of 80,000-pound snails. So I take the long game, wait for the window, ease out. Make the move, smooth and clean. And there we go, slipped past the heavy pack without holding anyone up. This is where experience pays off, knowing the rhythm of the road, knowing your truck, knowing when to push and when to sit tight. At this point, we're about an hour in, and I can feel that familiar post-lunch drag creeping in. The body slows down, the eyelids get heavier, and the mind starts negotiating. Maybe a quick break, just 5 minutes, just a stretch. But deadlines have a nasty way of killing your negotiations. We've all learned, whether you're a trucker, an office worker, a parent, or a student, that society teaches us to link our value to how hard we grind, to feel guilty when we rest, to feel ashamed when we slow down. It's not healthy, but it's real. So instead of stopping, I push a little farther, get as close to the customer as I can before I shut down for a break. Because out here, one delay can cost you a whole day, maybe 2. And if you've been with me since my first video, you already know how one bad moment can derail an entire week in this line of work. But that's the funny part. Those lessons apply everywhere, not just trucking. Every job, every dream, every grind. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the work, it's pushing through when your mind says, not today. And that brings us to the end of hour 1. If you enjoyed this ride, the views, the stories, the memories, the lessons, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Drop your stories in the comments. Your driving memories, your DJ era, your moving disasters, your fear of following trucks encounters. I read them all, and they help shape the next video. Now buckle up. Hour 2 picks up right where this leaves off, as we continue this final leg of the journey from New Tazewell, Tennessee to Montgomery, New York. I'll catch you in the next one.